Now, this is totally new. This isn't something that I generally do. I generally wait until like an hour or two after the subs come out, but I'm trying Raw this week. That's what she said. No, if you guys enjoy this, let me know. I'll keep it coming if you guys like it. It doesn't matter to me either way, but I was looking at my time and I was like, I'll probably have more time today versus tomorrow to do this, but we're going to be reviewing episode number 60 of Dragon Ball Super. Once again, I watched it raw, and every time I watch the episodes raw, I kind of am like, I probably won't understand much, but I always wind up understanding a little more than I thought I would. Shout out to Herms98 on Twitter. Go follow him. Herms is like a godsend for the community because he translates all of this stuff for us, and he's just an amazing person. So follow Herms on Twitter at Herms98. Links in the description down below. Basically, so for today's episode, what happened was, honestly, in a nutshell, I'm going to jump around with the context, of course, but what happens is they spend time in the present timeline before they leave. Trunks talks to Trunks, explains the difference between the parallel timelines. They go back into the future, and things have still, pretty fucked up over there. Things have not changed. Of course, you didn't really expect things to change, like the buildings to magically be rebuilt and whatnot. No. And they ultimately meet up with Mai and the Resistance, and then they discover that Black and Zamasu are still there, and then we have the reveal of Zamasu's identity, or Black's identity, excuse me. Now, if you guys have not kept up to date with the spoilers, I didn't personally do any spoilers, but I mean, at this point, they reveal in this episode, so spoiler alert, and come back tomorrow, maybe, I don't know, but basically, Black is Zamasu. I know a lot of you guys are great prognosticators and pointed that out and kind of assumed that. The thing is that everybody thought that initially, but we didn't think there were multiple Zamasus. Basically, there's a whole bunch of Zamasus. So what happens in this episode that I really wanted to point out, that some of the things that I really liked, I really enjoyed, the interaction of all these guys chilling at the table and eating. It looks really, really cool, like seeing all those guys in Beerus and Whis, guys that typically wouldn't be in this type of setting because, it's like Beerus, he's more of a hardcore character, even though they try to make him some sort of like a comedic relief character most of the time, shits and giggles character. He just seems misplaced in that setting with all their family and friends, and Beerus and Whis are there, but it was really cool. I liked it. This is my opinion, of course, but also I really, really enjoyed Trunks and Trunks talking. One thing I will say, kind of bouncing back a little bit about the setting with them all chilling, it really bothers me that Gohan and Goten are not there. Like, I understand that Gohan's got his family and Goten's studying. It's mental training, but he's studying. I understand that, but like, it just seems weird, like they're basically leaving them out of this entire arc and kind of talking about that more on the sense of Goten, because as a Gohan fan, I've gotten used to it. That entire Universe 6 arc basically left that guy out. They didn't bother to show him. They gave him this episode, that one episode, like 7 or 8 episodes ago, to basically tell you he will not be in this arc. So they keep doing little things with Gohan, so you're kind of like, oh, okay, he's still cool, but he's not going to be here. Like the training montage with him and Piccolo right before the Universal Tournament, yeah, it's cool, but he's not going to be here for another 10 episodes. But the more I kind of like what they're doing with the Trunks and Trunks interaction, I love it. It makes me remember some of the things I really wanted to see from Future Trunks, in that I really, really wanted to see Future Trunks interact with Goten. I don't know how I feel about this anymore. Like, because I was kind of mad about it, initially, and I was like, man, they're basically ruining Goten's character. They're making a point to leave him out of the show for no reason. They don't have to do that. He could be chilling there with the Pilaf gang, who's in every episode. But obviously, Mai has significance, and Future Trunks and Kid Trunks have significance. So they left him out because, in my opinion, it would have just felt weird to have him there, because what they would do is they would just leave him behind when the whole arc is basically character developing Mai and Trunks. They're shipping those guys hard. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Basically, Mai is taking the place of Goten and getting Goten's development. And Goten struggles from not really being a character, not getting much development throughout Dragon Ball Z anyway. And this is prime opportunity to do that. So hopefully later on in the series, at least they do that, because Trunks got some amazing development in this episode, interacting with Future Trunks and Future Trunks saying, hey, it seemed like that was like a goodbye. I don't think they'll meet up again. But, Future Trunks saying, hey, this is how we're different. In your timeline, you got to grow up with Goku. In my timeline, he's dead and all these other things. This is how things are different. And he was telling him, hey, cherish what you have here because my timeline is different. I don't have all these things. I never even got to meet my father in my timeline. You know, he was really explaining that to him, or breaking it down. And towards the end of that interaction, you could tell that Kid Trunks had a legitimate appreciation for everything that Future Trunks had told him. And they seem to have come out of that a little bit closer with one another. So I really do like that. I think that Trunks had amazing development in this episode. And even at the end, when these guys fly off, he flies after them. I don't know why he was out of breath at the end of it, but he flies after them. He's like, hey, good luck. You know, he wishes his future self good luck. I mean, I was like, bro, that's awesome. I really, really, really do love the interactions in Dragon Ball Super. That is the best part of the show, in my opinion. I've said it so many times. Stuff like that is what makes and breaks the show. Not the fighting, because the fighting is subpar. Let's be honest. Let's talk about the animation. It's subpar. Let's be honest. The interactions are what makes this show what it is. And I really love that when they do stuff like that. And it just kind of bothers me that they don't have the time and have never really had the time to do that for Goten. And Gohan had his moments, so I'm not really too much, I don't care about it. Gohan can do what he wants to do. He's my favorite character either way. I'm not going to leave him because he's not cool anymore or whatever. I don't know. But back to the episode. Another thing I wanted to point out was that Beerus was pissed off the entire time because nobody believed him. And for good reason. I mean, Beerus knows what he's talking about, but I think that, you know, due to the fact that Zamasu is immortal and things like that, it probably didn't impact that future version. It's weird how it all works out. Ripple effects and butterfly effects and such. They get back into the future, and obviously Goku's sick. Everybody crammed into the time machine, which is fun. Bulma made herself come so they could pilot themselves back. That's interesting. Does that mean that Trunks won't have a time machine again? Because technically, his time machine was destroyed. His mother's dead. So at the end of this arc, does that mean that he can never come back unless they go and get him? That's like basically what that means, right? Unless by all hell miracle, they bring back his mom in that timeline, which would be cool. It'll be a nice way to wrap up his character arc. But that's something to kind of parking lot there and just kind of come back to. And the fact that this time machine that they have been using is the one that was in the past that Cell took, so obviously they're going to take it back, and these guys went to the future with him. They'll need to come back. So I assume that everything's going to resolve in the future. They're not going to make another trip back to the past. So that's interesting, man. I do like the fact that Mai was there. Trunks was, like I said, they shipped it hard, man. Trunks purposely chew up that senzu bean just so he can have an excuse to kiss that girl. How many times have you seen them put full senzu beans, in an unconscious person's mouth, and they still chewed that thing and got the effect? There was no reason to chew that. I don't care what you say. They purposely did that. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're just gonna keep shipping this. And then Goku says he's never kissed a girl. I'm like, bro, you're married. I know y'all did the thing because y'all got kids. Don't tell me she never kissed you. Y'all got an interesting relationship. So basically, I mean, when they send Zamasu and Black, they all fly out, and it's like the squad is here, and they meet them basically. One thing I will say is that I really did enjoy this portion of the episode because as soon as they see them, Vegeta bum rushes him instantly into Super Plus Saiyajin Blue. You know, so he just instantly bum rushes him in Super Saiyan Blue. And Zamasu's like, or Black, excuse me. Well, Zamasu, either way. But he's like, hey, you must want revenge for that embarrassing defeat. And Vegeta's like, nah, I want to beat you for this timeline for my son, basically. Which is like, bro, Vegeta's development. I've said it so many times, bro. Nobody has had as much development as Vegeta in this arc and this series in general. I love it. Because that's not something he would say. And even Zamasu Black, whatever, he even says, yo, that's not something I would expect from a Saiyan. It's not very Saiyan-like. And I was like, man, exactly. You know what I'm talking about, man. I don't know. I'm really hyped about this. And at the end, Goku's like, oh, I know what you did. Because Goku can't stop spilling the beans. He told present timeline Zamasu about the future, and he's telling the future Zamasu about his knowledge of what they did. And he's like, oh, I know you stole the Super Dragon Balls and used the wish and gave yourself immortality and created a fake me. And Zamasu's like, oh, you noticed all that. Good job. Kudos. He gave him a round of applause. And Black was kind of offended. He was like, I'm not a fake you. He was like, this is your body, but with the mind of Zamasu. And Goku was shocked. Everybody was dumbfounded. And then they asked, what happened to the Goku that was in the body initially? Black was like, I killed him with my own hands. And I'm like, bruh. Oh my God. So does that mean that they're like from a different timeline where Goku did survive? Where did all this kind of work out? And they're talking about the time rings. In the next episode, I think we'll get everything. We'll be explained where Black comes from, what timeline, and all this different stuff. Because, you know, one of those Zamasus probably comes from that main timeline that they're in now. The timeline that we're accustomed to, that Zamasu's dead. Black is another version of Zamasu, so he probably comes from another timeline as well. He basically has to. And it all revolves around the time rings and the Potara, basically. Like the promotional art before the series came out, I mean, it's all kind of coming down to those two things. They've been the two things that everybody's been enamored with. And I don't know how all this is going to work out. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Subscribe if you're new. And yeah, that's it for me. That's it for me. I'll catch you guys next time, though. Peace out.